eyes peeking through the blinds, a brand new day. Got the rhythm pumping in my chest, gonna chase the blues away. Woke up smiling, no doubt in my mind what I'm gonna do. Gonna step right out into the light and see my dreams come true. Yeah,
Dr. Laurie Davis, aka the Recovery Mechanic, is the real deal. Straight talk, wisdom, rich content, and humor best describes her presence as a show host. Master educator, entrepreneur, author, and as an international professional speaker, she has made her mark in serving others from all walks of life. Get out your notepads, as Dr. Laurie always has something to say you will want to remember. From her meager beginnings with a business at the age of 12, her educational career, and for the past 40 years as an entrepreneur, Dr. Laurie's experience and ability to mentor others far exceed the norm. She holds an honorary doctorate in humanitarianism for her decades of work in the global communities. Broadcasting has been a professional passion since her first appearance on radio in 1998. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join our host, Dr. Laurie Davis.
Well, here we are. I just didn't get the buttons quite right. Dr. Laurie Davis coming to you from beautiful downtown Edmonton, Alberta this afternoon on a Friday afternoon. So I hope you're enjoying yourself wherever you are. And really delighted today to have my special guest, Pasto Allen, with me. And I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to bring him on right now because you need to see his handsome face, close up and personal. Good afternoon, Pasto Allen.
Hi there. That was quite an intro, man. I feel like I should be in interviewing you. You've got a lot going on.
We could do that. Yes, absolutely. I would love it. I love to be interviewed and I love to interview. So thank you for that. So good afternoon and welcome. And we met a few weeks back, a referral from a good friend, our mutual friend of ours, whom I think is listening today because I let them know that we were going to be on the air. So first of all, let's start with Pasto Al, Christian Ninja. What is that? Can you tell us what is that?
Boy, that has been my passion for the last 5 years. So Christian Ninja is the handle I use on the internet. It comes from the Bible, which is Matthew chapter 6, where Jesus is talking about, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. When you pray, don't let anybody see you, that kind of stuff. And it got me thinking about what kind of other things should Christians be doing that nobody else is supposed to be seeing. And then I ended up writing a book called Art of the Christian Ninja. But every time I tried to go online and find Christian Ninja with a CHRIST, it was gone already. So it became Xgen Ninja, like Christmas.
Right. All right. Well, you have quite a background. You've been a pastor for 16 years and active in a church or two or more. I don't know how many altogether, but a total of 16 years. And now you have decided that we need to be able to embrace people out there who need to be connected to you.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. What inspired you to go that route?
So let me hit you with a few statistics.
Yeah, you take your time. You have the mic, man.
So if in Canada, let's just go within Canada. If you took 100 Canadians, say, and you any random amount, 17 of them would say they have no close friends. They don't have close friends. 15 of them live completely alone. No family, no roommate. We actually, 10 years ago, I think, or a little bit more, Canada passed this really weird mark where there are now more people living single, as in by themselves, than there are traditional like nuclear families with mom, dad, kids. That's wild, right? So there, 15 of them would live completely alone. 10 of them would suffer from some kind of social anxiety disorder, which makes going out actually scary for them, like meeting people and just getting outside. And 3 of them haven't seen anyone outside of their immediate family for over 6 months. That statistic, those folks, the neurodivergent, the autistic people, the people that are struggling with social anxiety, the ones who are at home, who are different, who have hobbies they don't understand, a lot of people don't understand, who are a little bit weird, those folks, they gather online. They go looking for their tribe, they go looking for their community, and they're found. And so they I wanted to be out there helping pastor them, because I've been a pastoral counselor and a teacher, a leadership developer for years. And I wanted to be able to be online and talk to them. God was very clear how important that is. And so, like, just being part of a ministry that reaches out to millions of people that no one else is reaching out to because they can't. That's where my passion comes from.
Wow. Well, that's a big job. That's like a huge calling.
Huge. It is.
But totally possible with our technology today.
That's the thing, right? Like, so much of what we have is free, right? The software is free, and getting on, like, being online, YouTube, all that stuff is free. Yeah, you got to get an internet, got to be able to upload. But other than that, a lot of it is really free. The issue isn't necessarily the gateway of technology anymore. The issue is the gateway of desire, maybe the gateway of training, or the gateway of what I would say of bias, where there are a lot of people out there who look at, quote unquote, internet people and be like, well, just tell them to turn off the computer, tell them to get outside, turn off the video games, just, tell them to go make some friends, get on a ball team. It's really easy. That's how we used to do it. And it's hard. If that's what you think, then you're basically removing from them a huge part of their culture and a huge part of their community and their whole support system, and saying, delete all of that and just head out there and find a friend. And if 10% of them are too scared to get out of their house, and many of them don't have close friends, so they don't have anybody to introduce them other places. How we need a bridge. We need to get to where they are, help them, love them, care for them, counsel them, and then bring them to a place where we can kind of say, hey, let's talk about what's going on in your life. Let's find you some safe people that are local so they can take care of you. I know way too many people, older people too, that are singles, and they don't have kids. They don't have anybody taking care of them. They don't have a church family. They don't have a community family. They're just at home. And so when things go sideways, there's no one to take care of them.
I know. And we know we are all products of the damage that COVID did in terms of isolating ourselves, not being able to go visit our seniors in the nursing homes, whatever. But I don't know that we've even, Pastor Allan, I don't even know if we've reached the peak of the damage that's been done emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. As it relates to the fallout. Yes,
you're right. The fallout is real, and it's going to be affected for a long time. Like, I have kids that were right in high school age kind of thing, and when that was happening, and so they got pulled out right during the formative times of when their personalities are kind of solidifying. They're, the people that are supposed to be their friends for a while are coming together. Their choices for where they're going to go is starting to be asked big questions, and they were just kind of hit pause, go home. Right. And
I know,
for a long, long time. So it stunted during their developmental years a big part of their life. And then, not that I want to get political or anything, we have screwed up the economy so substantially that even if they want to move out, even if they wanted a family, even if they wanted to go out there, it's almost impossible to do. The reason, like, if you look in some countries in the world, whether it be Korea or Japan or US, even Canada, we are not having as many babies as it is to replace the people that are dying. We are literally going like this when it comes to our population. Why? Well, it's not because people decided to stop having babies and don't want to be married and don't want to have families. It's because they've been told that it is impossible. It is because all the statistics I said, they don't know anybody. The third spaces that we used to have, right? It used to be that they were in communities. There'd be lots of places to kind of go hang out, whether it be parks or coffee shops or, churches or groups or whatever. Those are shutting down. Those are becoming less and less. And if you look at the way kind of the media is built, it teaches them to distrust everyone. Right. Don't trust doctors, and don't trust teachers, and don't trust pastors, and don't trust politicians, and don't trust your parents, and don't trust, and so therefore they live in a world that is utterly terrifying because they have no one to trust them. And so what are they given for comfort and direction? They're given the internet. And what comfort and direction do they get? They get pornography.
Right.
They get to look through an Instagram feed that makes them feel terrible about themselves because they don't look like the filter, and everybody's showing off how much wealthier and how much happier they are, so they feel worse. They get into the psychosis of depression because their perspective is so skewed. And as a Christian, right, we have an atheistic society, post-Christian society, postmodernism, where we not only don't have truth, but the idea of a foundational meta narrative for the world, for the universe, it doesn't exist. So therefore, you're also purposeless. Nothing you do matters. That is a terrible way to live.
Is it ever? Well, our grandson graduated during COVID, and he had been an honor student the whole time through school. Stayed in only 2 schools, so was with all the kids that he went to elementary school with. They didn't have a prom. They didn't have a graduation. They didn't have their awards given out. They didn't, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just
milestones.
Terrible.
Yeah, we need milestones.
Yes, we do.
Humans require some touch points in their life that they can go look back on and go, this was a key moment. And for a lot of people, that's grad. For a lot of people, that's their first boyfriend or girlfriend.
First big deal.
When they left the house for the first time. Well, if you take away those milestones, they, what are they to be proud of? What are they building on? Exactly.
He had dreams and hopes of going to university, being an engineer. None of that happened. Because it dashed all their hopes and dreams.
And so and not to pull it back, but where do they go? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have comfort.
No.
They don't, their parents, by the way, in our society, parents aren't married anymore. Most are divorced or single or, that's messed up. So they don't have the secure foundation of the family of, the mom and dad to try to get perspective on how the world is. Both parents, if they have them, are working. So they're being raised by the school, not by their own parents, and by the government, because the government is what runs the schools. And so what's the government want? The government wants them to be good little citizens, right? Good little workers.
Pay taxes.
Right. So that doesn't make them into the people that they could be to flourish.
That's right.
Because that's not the desire. If they are able to think broadly, if they're able to be creative, if they're able to gather together and build groups and feel supported, they are strong and they are dangerous. Not that I'm a conspiratorialist. I'm really not. But it's just the soup in which we swim. It is the result.
These are the facts. We're facing this every day. Every 40 seconds, someone's trying to escape by taking their own life. Every 40 seconds. The number of people still living at home with their parents and they're 40, right?
They tried to leave. That's the thing. They tried to leave.
And
it didn't work and they come back and now they feel like failures.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, in my work over the years, the thing that I've discovered and people have shared with me is there are the 3 places where we're supposed to feel the safest. And you've heard me say this before, but I love your comment on the show. Home, we're supposed to be feeling the safest in home, school, and church. Now, in my experience, those are the 3 most dangerous places that people have experienced trauma. What are your thoughts on that?
Homeschool and church, that's where the battlefronts are.
Yes.
Right. So there's a battle on the home, on the nuclear family, right? The idea of having mom, dad, brother, sister, the grandparents, caring for all that stuff. There's a cultural understanding that it's not about your family, it's about you. It's not about, taking care of the previous generation. They're dumb and they don't know anything anyway. So it's about, how do you make yourself happy, which means that you're distancing yourself from your home, right? You in school, that's another battlefront, right? That is where you get the hearts and minds of the children. That's where you glean. That's where you put them. And because parents are so terrified about money and they're so worried about, can we pay the rent and what are we going to do? They take the most formative years and the part of the world where they should be building into them, and they give it to the school. And the school isn't equipped for that. Right? They're supposed to be teaching math. They're supposed to be teaching stuff, and they've been told now they need to be teaching a bazillion different sort of liberal-minded, artsy, like political, moral, crazy stuff that they don't really belong with, which is defaulted from definitely, sort of left-leaning stuff, which, as I said, doesn't really give you a good foundation to live on. And so therefore you have these people that when they go to school, they aren't being educated to become better people so they can be thinkers. Right? We are long far away from the old Greek thought of education where they teach you how to do logic and rhetoric and history. Like that doesn't seem to be a priority anymore. It is let's I don't know, check some boxes. I don't know what they're doing there. So that's the second place that war is happening, right? War on the kids, war on the family, and then the war on the foundation of society. The one that is supposed to give everybody the understanding of why they exist. Who put them here? Where do they get hope? Where do they get their comfort? Where do they find their purpose? Where do they discover when things are really, really bad, who's in charge? Well, that's the church, man. And so the church has always been under attack since day one. We wouldn't have the Bible, the New Testament, right? If it wasn't for problems in the church. That's just letters to churches that are having problems. And so therefore, it's not like we don't know that there's problems. The issue is that because there's, and this is my experience. I've been through. I pastored 3 different churches. I've been on staff for other ones. I've been doing ministry actively for over 25 years, and so therefore I feel like I have a good handle on church. And I'll tell you what. One thing I've seen more and more and more is not only do people not know their Bible, period, at all. They don't know it. Even if they say they do, they don't know it. But they also don't have the courage to be leaders. And so therefore, because they're terrified of, oh no, people are going to leave, or I don't want to offend anybody, and what happens if people are mad, and what if the government hears that I said this thing that that has a moral imperative to it? What if they tell on me? They're too scared to land on anything, and so they don't have good systems, and they don't have good checks and balances for their leaders. They don't have good checks and balances for the people who are teachers. They just are hoping that it'll be okay, and then it's not okay. It lets the wolves in. It lets the people that are messing up the church in. And when things go utterly sideways, what's the solution? Split the church, get mad at each other, go plant something with bitterness over here, and be an independent who doesn't want to talk to anybody, right? Like it's just it's very broken. It's a very broken system. Now, I need to keep reminding myself, it's not always bad news. There are some amazing educators out there in the school. There are some people that are working very hard. There are some within the public sector. There are great, Christian schools, but there are also within the public passionate people that are trying to raise good students. In the home, there are good families. There are single moms and single dads that are trying their hardest, that are trying to build good kids that have a good moral framework. There are people taking care of their grandparents. There are people who consider themselves to be citizens of their town as much as they are their own person. Like they really do exist. Otherwise, we would all be in trouble. We'd be living in like Mad Max world. It would be, we need those people, right? And in the church, I've said this before. The worst, most dangerous, most painful people I've ever met were in the church. And the best, most amazing, most gracious, most generous people that I've ever met have been part of the church.
Right.
It's not always bad news. And I refuse to be the person who's just always bad news. There is good news out there, man. There really is.
Well, in any system that's broken, you still have good people in there. For example, the healthcare system, that we've got some, but I've had to be taken care of a couple of serious times in the last 5 years. And it was those really good people in there that saved my life, basically, because they're dedicated and passionate about what they're doing. They're just working in a system that's not working.
Well, in Canada, it's as a nurse, as a doctor, it is really, really hard. You're overworked. There's not enough hours. There's not enough money. The technology is, it's just not there. You're always run off your feet. And now, I think I heard, within the last couple months here, I can't remember. The big percent of doctors are just plain old leaving. They're quitting and leaving.
46%.
It's a huge number. And then they're just gone. Why? Because they're overworked and they are underappreciated and they are underpaid. And so therefore they are going somewhere where they feel that there are, I think they said the average doctor is now working 0.7% or 0.8% of because they're taking time off for their mental health, because otherwise they'll go bonkers. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's the system we built. Why? I don't know, man. I love the fact that we have public health care and that we care for people that are in need, and that we have systems in the government that is taking care of addicted folks and folks that are struggling with single, like that are single, but they don't have a job. I like being in our socialist utopia that is Canada, that helps people out. It's great. I love it. But at the same time, it comes with trouble. And if you don't allocate things properly, you don't have the priorities straight, the people that you really need to run this stuff aren't going to stick around.
That's right. Well, here a while ago, I have a series of publications coming out, working journals, and we have 40 workshops just on wellness. So I thought, well, I'm going to pull from that and create a document to support healthcare workers, because if we support the workers, then the recipients of the care get better care. And so I went ahead and I've worked on that, and I submitted a proposal to our health services here in our province, and they referred me over to another part of them that has been created to do just that, support the staff and all that. And so they transferred my proposal over to that other agency, and I get an email back saying, we're fine, our people are well looked after. The lies that were in that email were enough to turn your hair gray.
Right? Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like, I was like, are you kidding me? The reason I put it in there was because a medical friend of mine did some research which said if only 10% of the population would do one or two little things a week towards their own wellness, that would significantly impact the system, so that the people who need the acute care can get it, and they don't have to wait 3 days to see a doctor. And it was all turned down. You know why it was turned down? Because it came from the private sector.
Yeah.
Here's a private sector person who has the capacity to actually make a difference and do something, and they're not interested.
I've spent a lot of time in hospitals.
Yeah.
And ERs.
Oh.
And one thing you see in the ER is a massive amount of issues that come from mental health.
Yes.
Like you think the ER is, I got hit by a car, right? Or I have a weird disease, I don't know what to do with myself, I can't breathe, right? Those people need help. You sit there and you're going to see people who are, I'm self-harming. I haven't eaten in a long time. I'm desperately lonely. I've got all these weird stuff. Or seniors, this is, talk to some nurses about this. Seniors that they're so lonely, they just call up and they pretend to have something just so they can hang out with people that are there. That's who's in the ERs, right? Yeah. That's not a medical issue. That is a societal issue. That's right. And the solution, and you kind of touched on it, the solution is the grassroots stuff. Yes. It's the stuff that comes from the regular people, the folks that are, they're just tired of it. And so they're like, we can't trust the big whoever, whether it be government or Amazon or, whatever, to try to fix everything. I'm going to have to do this in my neighborhood. Yeah. I'm going to have to be the one who visits the grandmas. I'm going to have to be the one that goes and starts the youth program. I'm going to be the one that's going to have a chat with the teenagers that I am scared of, but I'm going to go do it anyway because I need them to know that there's at least one safe person in town, right? Yeah. That's where the world change comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that, my two experiences, the first one was like I was in heaven. The second one was like I was in the other hot place, just because of the quality of service or the lack of service. And we here in Edmonton had a man pass away in the emergency room. They went over to get him 10 hours later, and he was dead in the chair.
Yeah.
And also here in my province of Alberta, statistically, the number of patients going in for overdose or attempted suicide or alcohol poisoning those numbers are larger every day than the heart attacks, the car accidents, the broken arms. Put that all together, it's still not as many as those people that we're talking about.
See, yeah, you're gonna get me all excited because that you hit one of the things that drives me the craziest during COVID. We're talking about that. The only store in town that was guaranteed to open. There's a line down the block.
Liquor store.
The liquor store.
Yeah.
Right.
I know.
Is it not the most ironic thing in the world that the gambling, the drugs, marijuana, the alcohol, some of the worst vices that are in our society that are destroying, including, and if some cities, the heroin comes from the government.
Yeah.
Is run by the government. They are bleeding their citizens dry with addictions, and they're like, yep, because taxes. Well, that's what I'm saying. The pot shops too, right? The drugs that are
Virginia. That's Virginia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they run it. It's like they're getting money. I don't know. I'm not gonna. You got me all excited because it just drives me crazy. Because I, as a pastor, as a community leader, as someone who spends a lot of time online with folks, you get really angry with the people that are targeting them. Like, for example, online, there's a lot of loneliness, right? A lot of people who are struggling, like things I said. So an industry has arisen that has, and I'm not just talking about pornography. Pornography is bad enough when you're alone and it's really messed up. But there's another industry that is raised up that gives let's say a girlfriend experience online for people who are desperately lonely, right? So you probably heard of OnlyFans. It's a website where you can go, you can talk to and interact with let's go from a male perspective, with a female, an attractive female that you can get to do things that, behind closed doors, and will text you and will send you a message and you can have a conversation with. Now, it's wildly proven that many of those conversations are happening with some, guy from India that they've outsourced their conversations to because they've got, however many hundreds of people talking to them. It's not that person. They would, that's just for them. They don't do that. But they are exploiting the loneliness epidemic and the friendship drought, which is crazy when you like how it is a worldwide. The World Health Organization said loneliness is a health issue. The U.S. said the Surgeon General said that loneliness is at epidemic levels. There are people who are lonely, and it's the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's how bad it is for you to be alone. In Japan, they have an entire generation, the broken branch generation, that doesn't care. It's just gone because they are in their place alone, and they are being preyed upon by multiple industries, obviously, but by that one specifically, and it is insidious and evil, which is why I go out there. That's why I want to be in some of those places where they are, and why I want to build healthy and safer communities with people that aren't going to exploit them, that are going to show them love, that are going to take care of them, that are going to introduce them to other people that are like them, that'll give them 24/7 asynchronous communication opportunities for when they're going through some stuff. No matter when they're going through stuff. That's the beauty of the internet, man. 2:00 in the morning, you're freaking out. Some dude from New Zealand just, got out of bed, and he's like, "All right, let's talk about it." It's amazing, but the communities need to be built.
That's right. Well, I was working on, and I am working on, the momentum of just becoming a member of the 10% club. That you're going to be part of that 10% that starts to take better care of yourself, so that we can lighten the load on the systems, so the people who really need the care can get it. And we only need 10% of the population to do that. And imagine, it just means maybe this week, 2 days in a row, I'm going to go for a walk, or that's all it would take. Just one or two little healthcare movements. And we only need 10%.
You know this. If I ask this question, I know you know the answer. One of the most important things that you need in order to make that decision is a reason to do it.
That's right.
Right. And when you go and you have these counseling conversations with people, like, why should I bother? Their answer is because you want to be there for your children, because your friends will miss you, because, how many of those actually apply to the folks that we're talking about today? What's their reason?
Well, I tell people you can't do it for anybody but yourself. So if you don't think you're worth it and you don't think you deserve that, let me help you with that.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. They don't.
Right?
Right?
Some people think they deserve to be sick or poor or whatever. It's all in your narrative. It's the narrative that that lack of love in yourself, that lack of belief, because maybe you had people in positions of authority tell you that you weren't worth anything. I had my grade 10 homeroom teacher. She looked at my record cards from junior high, which were not impressive. And she said, Laurie Jeffers, you're never going to amount to much. Marks like that. And I thought to myself, girlfriend, you do not know who you are speaking to. And I was only 15 at the time, but I had already, the entrepreneurial spark had already happened for me, and I had already started making plans. But yeah, exactly. Oh, look, we have Elmira Horton today from Nova Scotia listening in. Ha. Hey there, cousin. This is my cousin. She's part of our community, and also Virginia was here today too. Virginia saying hello. You're from Alberta. Anybody else? We've got live listeners. Come on, put your name up there. Tell us who you are, where you're from. But back to our question. Yes, I have to know that I am worth it.
Well, I'm on the other side.
I can't do it for my kids. I can't do it for my partner. There'll be relapses all along the way when you do it for somebody else.
I would argue that you, at the very least, need both.
Oh yeah.
Because we are so easily deceived, and we so easily deceive ourselves, and it's so easy for us to make excuses for ourselves. It's so easy for us to come up with reasons why today is okay and whatnot. And we need an external. I mean, this is what we teach in the church, is what we teach, as Christians, what I believe fundamentally is that in order for us to become, who God created us to be, we need external help. We need counselors system. And we need support system. We need God to forgive us. We need empowerment. We need a community. We need wise, elders. We need young people who are showing us, all the stuff that we don't know. Like, we need each other. We need a community.
That's right.
And when you don't have that, you don't have the tools for self-improvement.
No. But you see, but again, even with that, I might not think I deserve to be part of that community.
That's the hard part, man.
Right?
Oh, dude, I know. I've had people that come into my chat. Okay, so I've had someone who come into my chat, and they came in and they were asking Bible questions because it's a pastor. Let's go, and it's just like pa 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 pa. And my mods, which are supposed to protect me, were sending messages like, "Should we ban this person? They're like aggressive." And I'm like, "Don't ban them. Let's just do it. Let's just go through da. And I went, 15 questions. It was intense, man. Got to the end and got in the chat, and it says, "Thank you for answering my questions. You're the only person that would. I'm autistic, and there were things I needed to know before I could go to church. I'm going to go to church this week."
Wow.
How many people did he have to ask before he came to me? Right? How many people said you're not worth being part of it? You're taking up time. And that breaks my heart.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks my heart, because there are people who have been told you're not part of our, you shouldn't be part of our group. I deal with a lot of nerds, right? As a nerd, I understand them. I get it, right? I know you said we're talking about problems or whatever in Canada, and my brain was immediately like, yeah, there is no war in Ba Sing Se, and only I know what that means, unless you're a nerd, unless you won't know. But if you're at home, and these are people that are at home, man, they love anime, or they love video games, or they love Pokemon or they, it's something. And when they talk to their mom or their dad or their brother and sisters, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. You can't really talk about and we're not going to affirm you in the stuff that you think is most important to you.
Right.
I remember another story. I took my daughter and her friends to Comic-Con in Ottawa, right? Big convention. I'm sitting there and these kids, all of them, there's one with ADHD, one that is struggling with being trans, one that is autistic. Like, we got just a lot of stuff going on in the car. And they were all in cosplay. These are people who struggle to communicate. These are people who feel bullied. These are people who are really scared of others, right? They do not want to be out. The question is why? Why are they getting in the car? Why are they dressing up? Why are they putting themselves at risk to be around 20,000 people? This is like a nightmare for them. The answer is because that's the people that understand them. That's the people they can have a conversation with. That is the people that will celebrate them. That is the ones that they can use their jargon and their lingo with, who they don't have to explain it to, who won't mock their stuff, who can pitch back in a conversation. That's where they are. So they're going to go. I'm telling you, I watched these kids and they would go into the room, and it's massive. I don't know if you've ever been to a con. It's huge.
No.
They would get exhausted, like an hour, and I would be like, let's go, guys, off to go. And then I'd look and I'd see them huddled up in a corner like an hour later. I'm like, how you doing? You all right? It's like, yeah, just need a little break. Just need a little break. Like, it just drained them, and that you see them rally and off they go again. Like, and repeat for 12 hours as they try to squeeze every drop out of that group. They get back into the car, and I got to be careful with this because I will start crying. Get back in the car, and if you've ever, you go on a trip, you got all these people, what's the car ride like on the way home, right? Everybody, this is what I got, and this is what I got. Look at me, and hey, what do you know? How did it go? And tell me a story. And did you see that person? Got in the car, and not a single person talked the entire way home. They were one was curled up in a ball, literally couldn't anymore. This one was exhausted, trying their best, and this one just didn't want any more noise. This is a group that gave it all, man, every drop, just so they could be with people that understood them.
Wow. Well, I have a simplistic story to go along with the same idea. Years ago, I was in the cosmetic sales business, and we were taught that at the end of the presentation, you would, individually bring people over to see how they enjoyed the presentation and what they'd like to purchase and all this. Closing the sale, they called it. Well, I wasn't very good at it when I got started, and I was kind of shy and embarrassed about that. But anyway, I did it because that's what we were told to do, and that's how you succeed. So I had this young woman at the presentation, and she kind of looked maybe like she didn't have much, and kind of tattered and low key, and she had this little shoulder bag. So I invited her to come over and speak with me, and I asked her if she enjoyed the presentation and is there anything that she would like to have. And she said, yeah. She said, actually, I have $200 in this little shoulder bag, gift money from birthdays and so on. And I have been to 7 other presentations with the same company, the same product, but you were the first one to ask me if there was anything I'd like to have. Because assumptions were made that she couldn't afford anything, so best not ask her.
Oof.
So that's the same thing that you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it really is.
Only in a different situation.
No,
and
really
it was
is.
like, she said, thank you for asking, because I want everything you put on my face. And I've been waiting. But she said, I wasn't going to give money to somebody that didn't even ask me.
Yeah. So I have a life hack that I try to tell people to make their life a little bit better. And it's this. When you walk into any place or when you're interacting with a person, assume that they're having the worst day. that they've ever had.
Yes.
That they woke up that day, someone stepped on their foot, their dog died, they got up late, they got into work, someone yelled at them, they don't have enough money in the bank, and when they go home, they are going to be something bad. Just they don't want to go. And so therefore, when you interact with them, the last thing any human being is going to be like, well, I don't want to add one more bad thing. Why would I yell at this person? They're just doing their best behind the counter at Walmart. Why would I give them any grief? They're just trying to help me at the bank. They're just trying to get through the day. I don't want to be that person to finally, throw the last straw. And no way. If you start there with everybody, you will have way better interactions. You will have so much more grace. You'll have so much more patience because you're capable of it.
Yes.
You just have to
Very
make a
much
choice.
so. Yeah, very much so. Yes, and I usually I went to the bank years ago and walked in, and I hadn't added up my deposit correctly. This is back in the day, when you did everything manually. And the teller started in a very loud voice. The bank was crowded. And in a very loud voice, she said, Laurie, will you just use a calculator? Like, really? Like, this is just taking time and we're all busy and blah, 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 blah. And I thought that was a bit out of character. So anyway, I leaned over and I just said to her quietly, I said, are you okay? And the tears started, and she said, no. Bob left this morning, 4 kids. Bob left this morning and he's not coming back. And I didn't have time to tell the children yet. And that's what I'm facing when I go home today.
And here I am at work.
And here I am at work. Yeah. Thank you for letting me take it out on you. I said, that's okay. I knew something was up.
As a pastor.
The old Laurie, before Laurie got looked at, the old Laurie would have went, I want to speak to the manager. Nobody's going to speak to me like that. Yeah. And I'll be moving my accounts across the street. Yeah. Like that reaction, right? That would have been the old Laurie.
As a pastor, I'll tell you this. I've met a lot of people. I've met incredibly wealthy people. I've met people who were homeless. I've met people who were in the middle, singles, women, men, every age. I've met them all. And I will tell you, across the board, all of them are struggling.
That's right.
Every single one. They are either currently struggling, as in the bad stuff is happening now, or they've been through some stuff that you would never, ever guess that they've been through, and they're still dealing with that trauma, right? Or they have an uncertain future that they know is going to be scary coming, and it got them worried like crazy. Every single human being.
Absolutely.
Right? Which gives 2 things. One is, let's be compassionate. That's what I said before. But the second thing is that it means someone else out there is going through what you're going through. You're not alone.
No.
Like I don't care what you're going through. It isn't unique. I've been through some bad stuff, okay? And I like really rough. I remember sitting with my doctor who said, I don't know how you're still alive. I have people who are going through 10% of what you're going through, and they're falling apart. And it's a miracle that you're still around. It is crazy. I've had people sit across from me like, you should be dead, you should be drunk, you should be divorced, because everybody else who's going through a part of what you went through is one of those 3 things, man.
That's right.
How are you making it, right? I've been through some bad stuff, and I'll tell you this: there's nobody out there that isn't going through something. And there are people out there who are going through stuff that you're going through. The trick is trying to find each other and have the humility to admit that you need other people.
That's right.
Because if you're like, nah, nobody knows, nobody understands.
Nobody knows how I'm feeling.
And I don't want to tell anybody. I don't want to be a burden. I don't know how to communicate it. I don't want anybody to know how bad things are because they might gossip about me. Yeah, all legit. Okay, all legit fears might happen. But it also means you're just going to sit in your soup and feel bad all the time.
That's right. Exactly. Because there's 8.5 billion people on the planet, and nobody is going to escape without trauma and tragedy. Sorry. No. And if you think you're alone, that's a lie, because you're not.
You're not.
You're not.
And we have the internet now. Like it used to be you were stuck with your little community, you know. Now you have access to those 8 billion people, right? There's somebody out there, right? Go, you can find like real niche. Like I am someone who had this exact trauma, and there's going to be a Reddit list out there. There's going to be some Discord you can join. I promise.
Totally. So listen, we have about no minutes left, but that doesn't matter because we're in charge. So, but in wrapping up and closing, you know, let's say if you were in front of 1,000 people out there who are isolated and alone, how do we reach out to you? How do we, wait, now I know, I figured it out, but how do we find you? Well, here we go. First of all, you have an email. We'll put that up. Mm-hmm. And is there anything else you'd like me to put up there?
Best place to go is christianninja.com. That's where you're going to find everything.
What is it again?
Just my name, my little name here.
.com. christianninja.
Yep.
.com. I love it.
Go there. It'll lead you to my Substack. On the Substack, which is a blog, you'll see an article that says that kind of explains digital ministry. Just explains it, who's it for, and all that stuff.
I love it.
So it's my encouragement is if you're interested in this, if you know some people who are there, they are alone. You know what I mean? Like you used to see them at family gatherings. You don't anymore. They used to come to club, but you don't see them anymore. Or they're a nephew, a niece, and a son, a daughter, you know, an uncle, right? That just doesn't come around anymore, and you don't understand. You reached out to once or twice, and you don't really understand what they're talking about, and so therefore you kind of drifted. If you know people like that, and everybody knows people like that, right? There are places they can go online. There are people like me, and I'm not the only one, that they can go to and say, hi, I'm one of the people. Can we talk? Can you help me? Can you introduce me to some folks? Right.
Sure.
I'll tell you one last thing. I'll tell you this. Most people, when they look at what I do, and like on the face of it, like I'll be online on Twitch playing video games and making Lego and laughing about something. Most people just assume that I work mostly with like 14-year-old boys. That's the assumption. The average person I work with is a 36-year-old adult. 36-year-old adult living with some form of neurodivergence like autism or ADHD. Some have been abused, or they're struggling with their mental health, or they have social anxiety, or they have something, and they're alone. Those are the people. They're not just teens, right? They're full-fledged adults that are going through some stuff. And if you're one of them, I'd love to meet you and talk to you.
All right. Pastor Allan, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, and thank you so much. I love your energy and enthusiasm and all that you shared to spread the good word, give people hope, let them know that they're not by themselves. These are important messages that you shared with us today. So thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. And I know we'll be talking again. So bye for now.